Windbreaker, Season 2, Episode 4 or 17, Senpai's Teachings. We get to learn a lot about Sakura while also indirectly learning a lot about Kaji. Let's talk. All right, guys, Brent here back with Variants. Cover all things Marvel, DC, Lord of the Rings, anime, gaming, Star Wars, and more. This time Windbreaker Season 2. And I gotta say, this episode is largely a filler episode. If you're not really here for emotional growth and you're just here for see somebody get punched in the face or kicked in the face, well, only one person got punched in the face this episode, and that person was, in fact, Umamiya. And he got absolutely decked. But at the same time, this was more of an episode focusing on Sakura's growth, as well as acknowledging that he's not the only individual here with a troubled past. That there are some individuals who very lightly they glossed over have definitely their own series of issues and things to kind of deal with. In this episode, Sakura has finally gotten sick, which kind of makes sense because he's been fighting basically at a superhero level spurt since basically episode 1. This series has been all gas, no brakes, so to speak. So the fact we're starting to find our brakes a little bit, a lot of people are probably going to get probably turned off by the show, but I'm still enjoying the ride for what it is. We can't literally have 40 episodes of just straight action and not once do we sit here and talk about why this is happening, what's going on, or the current underbelly that's running around all of the these gangs that are slowly forming in Japan. They need to figure out what everybody's up to, why, how, and you need to develop these characters so people actually care about them when these fights happen so we can have some actual stakes in which to kind of address. And Sakura is still stunted. What Umamiya said has stung him. It has eaten him to his core. And as a byproduct, his body, because he's mentally sick, now believes he's physically sick. So he has a cold and he was, missing school, and he was definitely someone who was at home and for all intents and purposes, his classmates care about him, even though he's still struggling with the fact that he has friends and he cares about them. He's in full on denial mode. He's pretending that he's alone, he's unwanted, no one cares about him. And at a certain point, you just wish for him to grow up. But then you kind of get to see what his life is literally like. When Suo and Nere go to visit him, he literally lives alone. And what appears to be, or at least what, Suo said, a haunted house. It's basically an abandoned complex that nobody else is at. The water barely runs. The house is completely dark. There are no lights on. Literally, all Sakura has is his shoes and his clothes for furring. That's it. He doesn't have a stocked up fridge. He doesn't have any beds. He doesn't have any couch. He doesn't have a general area to hang out and where you can have food on your tatami mat for dinner. He doesn't have any cooking utensils. He has a sleeping bag and a rack to hang your clothes up to dry. That's it. This man is a minimalist to a minimalist extreme. He literally has only what the absolute essentials are. So now I see why when he does go out and eats with, his friends that he's so reluctant to call his friends, I see why the dude pigs out. He has literally nothing else, and it doesn't look like he has an actual form of income going on. So he's gonna do what he's got to do to survive. And now that he's finally worn down and sick, Nira and Suo visit him. As they visit him, they kind of start seeing the conditions that he's like, and seeing that Sakura is so unaccustomed having people check up on him or have people care about him or even bring him anything, that Suo makes the correct decision, says, look, we brought what we can. Dude doesn't want to talk to us. Let's leave. So as they're leaving, Nere, of course, is like, why the heck are we leaving? He needs us. He's clearly just trying to push us away. And Suo is putting all signs out there that he's someone who has experienced some deep ish. I don't know what that is, but he's been through some stuff because he's correctly assessing the situation and being like, look, Sakura just needs to be alone right now. We've done what we can. The dude doesn't know how to use us as a lifeline yet, but we're still there for him. If he's not back at school tomorrow, we'll go fix things. Ultimately, then we have to another confrontation. Umamiya's favorite individual, the woman he's trying to woo, goes and visits Sakura and brings him some lovely egg kanji. She's starting to take care of him and starting to talk to him. And then she directly and bluntly states to Sakura, "You still have no idea how to like deal with people, do you? You don't know how to trust. You don't know how to reach out." And then he's like, "Why would I ever need them? I can totally do this myself." And then she pulls the food out from him, and he's like, "Hey, what? I was eating that. Why are you doing this to me?" And she's like, "Well, you know how to do this. Why didn't you do this yourself? Can't you do this yourself? Oh wait, you don't have the ingredients. You don't have the utensils. That means you would need somebody or something to go get that, wouldn't you?" Completely calls him on his ish, and Sakura is starting to kind of like come around to what's going on here. But he realizes he doesn't really want to talk to his classmates yet, so he goes and finish talks to the one person who seems to have at least been through some of the stuff he's been, Kaji. And while Kaji is not exactly what I would call someone who is an expert in communications, he seems to have at least got the effective communication across. Kaji tried using a coffee bottle that he got at the vending machine, and he took Sakura up to the roof, and then he slapped a green tea label on it. It's like, "What is this?" And then Sakura was like, "Coffee? No, that's green tea." And then Kaji's like, "No, it's not. No matter how much this coffee pretends to be green tea on, it is still coffee on the inside." Which is kind of trying to point out that Sakura, no matter how much he pretends to have this rough exterior of "I don't care, I don't need people," ultimately deep down he still does. And that relying upon others and him being afraid to reach out and being afraid to trust and rely upon others is really his biggest weakness right now, and he's the only one that is dealing with that. His friends already know him. They already understand him. They know why he's lashing out. They know why he blushes when people say nice things about him. They've seen his living conditions, so everyone is kind of aware of just who Sakura is other than himself. He cares so much about what others think that he's literally just paralyzed himself with fear, which I think is something that some people can always deal with, either growing up or becoming adults and getting into new and sometimes uncomfortable situations. We've all kind of been there. It's like no one's going to sit there and be like, "I was the perfect socialite, everything came easy." No, everyone has their own battle and everyone has their own struggle. For Sakura, his is being able to trust and rely upon others because, as we've seen with his apartment, man's on his own. He's on a desert island to figure stuff out his whole life. And now the fact that he has friends that actively care about him and are trying to better his life, it's a whole new world for him. And Kaji basically relays this to him, only for Umamiya to pop around the corner and be like, "Oh my gosh, I'm so proud of you, Kaji. You did such a good job." And then he keeps pressing Kaji's buttons. And Kaji, in a moment of panic, punches Umamiya in the face, knocks him clean on his butt. And then Hiragi is just like, "Dude, you deserve that and then some. He probably should have kicked you as well because, this is for Kaji's a big moment. He's not really necessarily been someone who reaches out or let alone looks after the underclassmen, but now it's like opening up about things that are involving him and some of his more personal stuff, which Umamiya learned to read the room. That definitely caused a bit of an issue there, but at the same time, we see a flashback in the very, very end of the episode that Hiragi pulled Kaji aside and had this probably same exact conversation with him and said, "Look, going up to the rooftop is a great place to talk." And then they went through their series of events. And now we're just continually passing the buck along. From good mentorship has good mentees. Those good mentees become good mentors. And then it just keeps going along. If you have strong leadership, you'll last forever. You have terrible leadership, you'll crumble and fall no matter how strong you are at the top because you're not building anybody up to be on your level. When you rely on others, you're strong. And that's what this mentorship at Farine is. And hopefully, Sakura takes a hint. What you need to take a hint about, hitting that lovely subscribe button. It's free and greatly helps us out. And you've listened to me ramble for about 9 minutes now. So if you'd be so kind as hitting that like button, that'd be greatly appreciated. I've been Brent for Geek Variants. We'll see you later on for more Fire Force. I'll see you then.